Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be learning how to cut this trending beautiful gown with side gathers. So if it's something you would love to learn, keep on watching, like, share, subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. So without further ado, let's jump right into the main video. So the first thing is to take our basic measurement. So this top of the paper here is my starting point, which is my shoulder line as well. So from the shoulder I'm going to come down to mark my bust point, which is 10. Then from my shoulder I'm going to come down to mark my under bust, which is 13. Then from the shoulder I'm going to come down to mark my waist point, which is 16. So I'll go ahead and extend all these points across. Then from my waistline I'm going to come down to mark my hip point, which is 9 inches from my waist to my hip. So you can use 8 for short people, but I usually use 9 for tall people. So I'm going to extend this point across as well. Then this is my bust line, my under bust, my waist, and then my hip point. So I'm going to use the whole of this pattern paper as my length. So I'll write hem at the bottom here. So I'll come to the top of the paper here and divide my shoulder by 2. My shoulder divided by 2 is 7.5. I'll mark it right there. Then at that point, I'll come down to mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I'll come here to mark my basic neck. I'll mark 3 inches for my neck width. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope into the neck this way. Then I'll come down to mark 3 inches for my neck depth as well. And I'm going to connect the point with my French curve all the way to the point I just marked like this. Then I'll come down to mark my arm length. How to get your arm length: divide your bust by 6, then add 1.5 inch to it. Then I'm going to extend that point across like this. On this line I'm going to mark that 7.5 inches I have as my shoulder measurement here too. And I'm going to connect my shoulder slope all the way to that point I just marked. Then this now become my chest line. So on this line I'm going to divide it into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint. Then on that point I'm going to go in by ½ an inch. Then on the chest line I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4, and I'm going to connect all the way to that point I just marked on the chest line like this, and I'll use my French curve to just complete it into the chest line. Now I'm going to divide my bust span by 2. That is my nipple to nipple measurement. So mine is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I'm going to mark it on the bust line, on the under bust line, on the waistline. Then I'm going to come down from the waist by 5 inches. Then I'm going to mark 3.5 inches on that point as well. Then I'm going to connect all these points together with my straight rule like this. Then on the waistline I'm going to mark ½ an inch on both sides of this line. Then from the bust line I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect from that point all the way up. Then I'll connect all the way down as well. So this is our dart. The next thing is to impute our body measurement. My bust divided by 4, I'll mark it on the bust line. Then add 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll come to the under bust, divide my under bust by 4 as well. On the waistline, my waist divided by 4. Then the dart intake, I'm going to replace it. Then I'll come to the hip line, my hip divided by 4, I'll mark it, then add 1 inch for seam allowance. I forgot to add the seam allowance on the waist and on the bust line, so I'm going to add 1 inch for seam allowance on the waistline and also on the under bust line. So I'll connect all these points together like so. Then whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to mark it on the hemline as well. Then I'm going to connect all the way to that point. Then to create that pleat at the side, you can either start from the waist, but I want to go up by 1 inch because I want my pleating to start 1 inch above the waistline. Then on that point, I'm going to mark 1 inch. This is to serve as a guide for us to create our curve, okay? Then on the hip line, I'll mark 7. Then on the hemline, I'm going to mark from the center front, I'm going to mark 4 inches. Then I'm going to follow all these points like this to create our curve. You can see how I'm moving my hand. So this is how wide I want that pleating at the side to be. It is always good you draft this on your pattern paper before you cut on your fabric, because there will be room for you to adjust this curve if you don't like how the shape looks or how the curve is. So it is advisable you draft it out. Don't just directly cut on your fabric. Like if I don't like how the curve is, I can always clean and then adjust the curve. So it is very good you draft on your pattern paper before you cut on your fabric like this. So this is basically it for it. I'll go ahead and cut it out now. So I want to use this opportunity to beg all of you, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do wait to hit on the subscribe button. Subscription is totally free. Leave a comment if you have any question you want to ask me, any concern, anything at all you want to ask me, just drop it in the comment section. I will do it to attend to all of them. So this is it for the pattern drafting, as you can see here. So to create a pleat at the side, we're going to do splash and spread method. So I'm going to rule lines on this pattern paper. So I'll go ahead and label them. Then this is the center and this is the side. Make sure you label them appropriately so that you don't arrange them wrongly when you want to arrange them. Okay, make sure you indicate the one facing the side and the part facing the center so that you can arrange them properly when the time comes. So what we're going to do now, we're going to place all these pieces on another paper. I don't have enough pattern paper, so we are going to manage this one I have here. So since we don't have enough pattern paper, I'm only going to mark 1 inch in between before I place another piece, as you can see here. So the more inches you mark in between, the fuller your side gather will be. You can decide to use 5 inches, 3 inches, 6 inches. Like I said, the more inches you use, the fuller your side gather will be. So you decide on what you want. You can decide to use 2 if you don't want the side gather to be too full. You can decide to use 3, 5 inches. So it depends on what you want. So I'm just going to mark 1 inch in between before I place another piece, like as you can see me doing. So this is how I'm going to arrange it all the way to the end. I'll mark 1 inch before I place another one. This is the distance between the papers. I hope I'm making sense. Please just watch what I am doing here. We have done splash and spread method before, so this is not the first time. This is how to go about it. Like I said, the more inches you mark, the more fuller your pleating will be. So I'll just take it all the way to the end. So we're going to cut this as one piece, and since the pattern paper is very small, I'm just going to explain to you guys, but this is the demonstration how to do splash and spread method. We have done it before. So when you cut this as one piece, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger than the initial measurements we had, right? It's going to be bigger than the initial measurements. So by the time you pleat this into the space we have here, as you can see here, the paper, as you can see, the pattern paper here is bigger than this space here. By the time you pleat it into this side, you're going to have that gather effect at the side. By the time you pleat it, it's going to fit perfectly into this space, as you can see. I hope I'm making sense with what I'm saying. Probably when we are doing the sewing part, you understand more, so make sure you stay glued to the channel. Then to draft the back pattern is just to add your zipper allowance. So when drafting your back pattern, just add your zipper allowance. Every other thing is the same. So we are coming to the end of today's video. See you in my next video. Thank you for staying tuned. Bye.